This case and this incident is not getting the attention in which it deserved. It's not getting the attention in which it deserved. And this is not a young lady who was dating someone who was possibly selling drugs and doing that. This is not someone who her son is in a gang and it was a retaliatory action. This is not someone who's out in the streets. This is a hard working woman who worked in a public school system, right? And who was doing everything she needed to do to provide for her family. And her life was taken senselessly as she walked to a store. Like, what is this world coming to that we can't just walk to a damn store? You know? And I was pretty much outraged because I just felt like the family wasn't getting all of the support it needed.
Rejection shouldn't be a death sentence, but in America, some men treat no thank you like it's a declaration of war. And on December 4th, 2020, that warped entitlement turned a simple liquor store stop into a horror scene no mother, no daughter, no community should ever have witnessed. Infuriating, disgusting, heartbreaking, pick any emotion on the human spectrum, and it still won't cover the violation that stole 36-year-old Aieshia McFadden's life. Aisha wasn't doing anything but trying to walk into a store with her teenage daughter, but that night she crossed paths with a grown man playing the world's most dangerous game. Male ego roulette. Thaddeus Williams decided he had the right to flirt, to touch her, to smack her butt. And because delusion is a hell of a drug, assume more could happen down the line if she was interested. Spoiler, she wasn't. And she made that clear. She didn't want his number, she didn't want his time, and she definitely didn't want his hands on her body. A normal man would have backed off. A decent man would have apologized. But Williams wasn't decent, normal, or even human in that moment. He treated rejection like an insult to his entire bloodline. How dare she turn him down? How dare a woman enforce her boundaries? So instead of walking away, he escalated. He chose violence. And by the time the smoke cleared, only one of them walked away alive, and it wasn't Aisha. Say her name when this story ends. Say it with anger, with grief, with the weight of knowing that no should never cost a woman her dignity or her life. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. Before she was a headline, before her name became another hashtag stapled to America's never-ending obituary of women killed for daring to exist, Aisha was simply a woman living her life, loved, needed, devoted. A cafeteria worker at Lincoln High School who somehow managed to feed half the student body while raising 4 children of her own on a paycheck that should have been doubled out of respect. Her oldest, a 20-year-old college student. Her youngest, just 8. A mother stretched thin, but still showing up. Because that's what Black women do even when the world refuses to show up for them. The principal described her as part of the school's culture, not because she was loud, but because she was steady. Reliable, motherly, the type of woman who made the teenagers feel seen and the staff feel supported. At home, she carried the same energy. The matriarch, the referee, the soft place to land. She held her whole household together with love and accountability, a superpower America only pretends to value when it's time to speak at funerals. And when she wasn't holding the world on her shoulders, she was goofy, silly, fun. That woman who could clown all day, then turn around and face the next day with optimism that, frankly, the universe did not deserve. Friends loved hanging with her. Food, drinks, laughter, simple joys that made life feel good. December 4th, 2020 was supposed to be one of those nights. Just her and her daughter running to the liquor store for a little something to sip on. Nothing complicated. Nothing dangerous. Nothing life-ending. Except she crossed paths with a man who carried alcohol in his bloodstream and entitlement in his bones. Around 8:30 p.m., as Aisha approached Jersey City Liquors, out stumbled Thaddeus, smelling like he bathed in cheap liquor and bad decisions. And in 1 second, he decided he had the right to flirt, to touch, to grope, and to assume her body was part of the evening's entertainment. Never mind the wedding ring. Never mind her daughter. never mind consent, because in the mind of men like him, no is a personal attack, and women exist for male validation, not autonomy. Aisha did what women do every day. She ignored him and tried to walk away without turning it into a scene. But when she passed him, he reached out and smacked her butt like her body belonged to him, like she owed him something, like the streets were his playground and she was the prize. And she snapped, rightfully. She turned furious and echoed what millions of women have had to scream into the air. Don't touch me. Keep your hands off me. I don't want you. But instead of shame, instead of embarrassment, instead of backing off like any adult with a working brain stem, Williams chose violence. Pure, lethal, cowardly violence. He pulled out a pistol and shot her in the torso while her daughter watched, trapped in a nightmare she will never escape. Cars drove by. People stared. The world kept moving like life hadn't just collapsed on the pavement. Her daughter stayed. A bystander tried to help. But by the time the ambulance reached Jersey City Medical Center, she was pronounced dead. Gone. Erased because a drunk man with a bruised ego decided her no was a threat. Her family grieved. The community grieved. And in the chaos, one friend wrote the truth everyone was thinking. She was murdered because a man disrespected her by smacking her butt, and she checked him for it. So his response was to cowardly take her away from her 4 kids. Why can't these men accept the word no? The next day, December 5th, police found Williams and arrested him. Murder, weapons charges, criminal sexual contact. All the things he should have never been allowed to commit in the first place.
36-year-old Aieshia McFadden was a beloved member of her community. A mother of 4, those who knew her say she'd do anything for her kids.
She really, really loved her children. She loved her children. That's what she talked about.
Latricia Thomas met McFadden years ago when they lived in the same neighborhood. She saw her a few weeks ago.
All-around nice person, and she was really the life of the party. Like Aisha, you see her, she'd be yelling at you from across the street, hey girl. She was just a really sweet person.
Thomas is now deeply saddened to hear about McFadden's death. Police say she was found with a gunshot wound to her torso near this liquor store in the area of Martin Luther King Drive and Bidwell Avenue around 8:30 Friday evening. McFadden was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead.
Totally senseless, totally unnecessary.
Chris Gadsden is the principal of Lincoln High School, where McFadden was a cafeteria worker.
She had a great relationship with the kids of the building. She was just, a part of the school, like part of school culture.
Gadsden says he's heard from members of the community that McFadden was here near this liquor store on Friday evening when she was approached by a man who then touched her inappropriately. An argument ensued that resulted in McFadden being shot. Gadsden, along with other community advocates, say more resources and protections are needed to keep women safe.
She wasn't protected. Trying to protect herself is what got her killed. And that's sad as a black woman in America. So I think we have to do much better.
In the meantime, the advocates and Latricia Thomas are praying for McFadden's 4 children.
She's going to be missed by a lot of people because a lot of people loved her.
The community rallied. Fundraisers were held. Her children stood among strangers who cried for a woman they barely knew, but instantly loved because her story felt unfair, because it was unfair.
So, Mr. Gassens, if you can come on and just speak to who the young lady was as it relates to being a worker in a public school system in Lincoln High School.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Aisha, employee at Lincoln High School, serving inside of the food service. If you don't know too much about our food service program, when our kids go into that cafeteria, they, have a relationship with, our cafeteria workers. And what made Aisha so special was the fact that not only was she a cafeteria worker, but she also had, the genre in the building. And so, and then she knew a lot of kids, in the community. So, a lot of times when our food service people, custodians, security guards, and folks alike, when they work in the building, they live in Jersey City, so they become, not just employees of a building, but they are a part of the whole community. And that's who really Aisha was. She was loyal. She was just hardworking. I know members in the food service, in that cafeteria, Miss Phyllis, and just a whole slew of others, they sorely miss, man. This is a great loss to our whole school community. It's just something, whatever that's tragic, something, whatever that just hurts, and it's, very painful. And, we at Lincoln High School, every now and then we have to go through these moments where we lose great people, great people that we love and that are part of our community. So Aisha was part of the fabric. She was a part of just making sure kids were good, making sure that, people in the neighborhood was, good. So, on behalf of Lincoln High School, our family, and Jersey City Public Schools, we say we miss you. We honor you, and the kids, man, all four of them, man. Dejana, Michael, Manaya, everybody. So, we got to hold it down for them. And I know they have a lot, whatever, to say, because, that's the patriarch of the family. That's the person that held it down for them. So our hearts, go out to you. And like I said, in many occasions, if there's anything that we can do, especially as a school community, like, you have to let us know. All right. You just have to let us know, and then we'll do that. All right. So I'm going to sign off, but the most important people, in the world right now are about to speak. So we got to make room for them, because it's such a great, such a great loss. So I hand it back over to the family.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gaston. So I have Aisha, oldest daughter here, and her nephew, right?
Her cousin.
Okay.
She always wanted me to say that's not on. That's my
Okay,
cousin.
well, if that's what she wanted, then that's what she gonna get. So if you young man and young lady, if you just speak to, just pour your heart out and let the world know, what your aunt meant to you, what your mother meant to you, and just air it out. Just voice your concern, to the people, and just air it out.
So again, my name is Maurice. Aisha was my big cousin, or my aunt. That's what she wanted me to say, so I'll say that right now. This is her oldest daughter, Dejana, and her other kids are also her other 3 children. So everybody know that Aisha had to be like the most bubbliest and friendliest person in Jersey City. Everybody know that, but Aisha was so much more than that. And to really understand that, you got to look beyond Aisha as an individual and think of where she came from. So Aisha was raised by her grandmother, Luella McFadden. And Luella McFadden was known by many people in our community because of how much work she put in, especially for decades, especially in the public schools in our community. And it was through that Aisha came to know so many people in the community, first of all. And then after her grandmother died about 10 years ago, a little less than that, Aisha followed her footsteps by being very involved in our community. But what the feat that Aisha was most proud of, and that her grandmother probably would have been most proud of, is making sure that Dejana was enrolled in a 4-year university after she graduated from high school. And she was only the 3rd person in our family to do that. So, that's why it's so important that, first of all, our community makes sure that Dejana has what she needs to finish school while she's raising her 3 siblings. And then it's also extremely important for our community to make sure that Aisha's other 3 children have what they need, not only financial resources, but also mentorship and just connections to everything important in our city, anything useful to make sure that they can follow the important and, just amazing women in their life by making a positive impact on our community as well.
On December 13th, they buried her, a ceremony honoring her life, her motherhood, her humor, her optimism, and the violent injustice that stole her too soon. And then came the justice system, America's favorite disappointment. Nearly 2 years after killing her, Thaddeus took a plea deal, 20 years with parole eligibility after 17 years for sexual assault, humiliation, and murder in front of a child. 17 years for wiping an entire mother off the map, for turning 4 kids into half-orphans, for taking her husband's partner, her school's heartbeat, her community's joy. A slap in the face. A joke with no punchline. A legal shrug disguised as justice. The system didn't want a trial. The system didn't want to fight. It took the easy route, a plea bargain wrapped in cowardice, a deal only a murderer could love. Because after all this, he'll still get to be a free man before he turns 60. He'll get years of life, time to breathe, laugh, eat, exist. But Aisha, her sentence was permanent. Her kids still post birthday messages, still talk about her during their accomplishments, still live every day in the shadow of a life stolen. Her absence is loud, heavy, unforgiving. She was beautiful. She was kind. She was loved. And she deserved far more than being remembered as the woman killed for rejecting a man. She deserved justice. She deserved protection. She deserved a world where no didn't get her executed. So when you say her name, say it with anger. Say it with grief. Say it because the justice system didn't. Say her name, Aieshia McFadden. May she rest in peace.